Hello, we're live. Hello, everyone. I am Kat
Mhm.
from Rebloom Room, and today I'm speaking with Rashidat Odeyemi. She is your dream strategist, and we are talking about how to recover from workaholism and how to center joy in your life rather than centering work. So, yes, welcome everyone, and welcome Rashidat. And you are calling us, or you're sitting in your home in where?
Yes,
Where are you
I'm in
located?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, wonderful. And so you work with folks to help people overcome workaholism. Um,
Mhm.
and this is something that's sort of dear to my heart because not that I was a workaholic, but work was starting to take up too much of my life. I recently
Mhm.
quit my job in December and became a contractor, still working, but just kind of decentered the work from the center of my life. No, it wasn't
Mhm.
really, but it was just taking up too much time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, I think I see a lot of people, especially Black women in my life and at my work who work a lot. And, the trope of Black women being expected to work twice as hard to earn half as much. And a lot of
Mhm.
times I have seen us do the work of two people, literally, like, we
Yeah.
quit and they replace us with two people. I've seen that
Mhm.
multiple times. So this
Mhm.
this conversation's really, really, I think it's really important. So
Mhm.
can you just talk about what you do, and maybe where you got why you got started? Because I know you said that you have been a workaholic since a young age. So maybe start there and talk about your relationship with work.
Yeah, so I think as a kid, I obviously wouldn't have called myself a workaholic, but I knew that if I wanted things growing up in a poor neighborhood, single mom, older, that if I wanted things that I had to be a part of it. And so at 12 years old, I started babysitting hardcore. I started earning money so that I could get the things that I want. And on top of that, it was what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraged in me, like, "Oh,
Mm,
it's so great. You're so mature," you know?
mm.
But we don't really realize how that's like encouraging a kid to give up their childhood to work.
Yes,
Like
to
you
yes,
start
where's the
early.
play? Yeah, where's the play in
Right.
that? Yeah.
Right. And
Mhm.
so we lose so much because we so quickly are like into this responsibility. And I'm not saying that we should be irresponsible, but I think there's space for both. Like I hate where we get into this polar opposites that you can only be one and not the other. Why can we not have space for work and have space to live our lives, to enjoy our things, to enjoy our values? So
Mm.
going back to that timeline, so I started working at 12. In high school, I skipped a grade. And so I was in high school and then I would go to community college at night to earn my extra credits. And then I would go to work after that. Okay. That was in high school. And then I went to college and I did my degree was in fashion design. And I worked all through college. And then after that,
Mhm.
I got a degree and I was very blessed. I actually got a career position in my degree. And but I at that point, I think I was so used to prioritizing work over everything to get what I want that it was it was natural to just, "Oh, I want something," rather than actually asking, "Did I actually want that? Is this really the life that I live? Who do I wanna be? How do I wanna show up?" Is
Mm.
what capitalism at that point had become so ingrained in me, I hadn't even really discussed or been asked, "What do I wanna be when I grow up?" Like, that question had been
Mm.
gone for so long, I was just
Yeah.
following the next step, and that
That's a
takes
lot of
away.
that that's a lot of layers, like, the work, the school, all of that, that's a lot to be piling up at really a young age. Like,
Yeah.
if you're skipping a grade, that means you're doing a lot of homework too, and keeping up and,
Mhm.
all of that. That's a lot of layers already on somebody so young.
Mhm. And we just
Yeah.
keep going.
Mhm.
We don't even realize sometimes, and here's the thing, Black women are the most educated people in the States, like, we've been
Mhm.
doing it for so long, we don't even realize that we've come into that. Like most people would say, I don't necessarily consider myself a workaholic, but when you look at our history,
Mhm.
we've been doing it so long we don't even recognize that it's something that we can actually shed. It's not the core of who we are. We don't have to continue to do that, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it got started for me until I finally
Mhm.
was like, you know what? This is for the birds. There's got to be more
Yeah.
to it than this.
Mm.
And
What
I'm gonna
made you
figure it
say
out.
that? What made you say that?
I would say I got into my first job and I started feeling this inclination like you said this comment where you said, "Wait, we don't get our summers off?" I didn't
Right.
have the exact same revelation, but I was like, "This is monotony. Like, we're just gonna do
Yeah.
the same thing every day." Like, it's just
Yeah.
chugging along. Exactly. And
Yeah.
so I
It's
missed
a shock to the
college.
system.
It is. It is. You graduate college and you're like, "Wait, I don't
Where's
get
my
something new
summer?
every semester?" Right. You like even in the semester, you do something different.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so it keeps things new, it keeps you fresh, it makes you feel like you're always learning.
Yeah.
You don't get any of that when you get into a career. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is stupid."
It's stifling, suffocating and stifling. It's rough. Yeah.
It
Yeah. It's
is.
it's pretty
It
shocking. Okay, so you're in
Mhm.
your early 20s and you get your first job,
Mhm.
in your field, and so
Mhm.
then what happens?
Yeah, so that I worked in a company that was really racist and I had a hard time
Oh.
and then I found a new job and I moved to Columbus, Ohio at that point. So I had gone from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia to Rome, back to Philadelphia to Charlotte at this point and
Mhm.
um I was like there has to be more, but I had no idea what it looked like. So I took this job in Columbus, Ohio. It was great for my resume, but I also
Mhm.
got there during the beginning of the recession. I bought a house,
Mm. Mm.
and by the end of the recession, they couldn't keep anybody on. They were letting go people, and so I was one of the ones that
Mhm.
was let go.
Mm.
So I put my house in the market, and I packed everything up, and I moved to LA because I was like, you know what? I actually don't think I want to go back to my career, but I want to live somewhere warm and I want to have the
Mm.
ability to contract if I want to. But I'm going to go be a dog walker and
Mhm.
work at Walmart. Like I'm going to do something completely different, you know?
Mm.
And I got to LA and 2 days later I had a job in my career again.
Oh, wow, okay. That was fashion?
Yes, yes, as
Okay,
a
okay,
technical designer. And so I
okay.
say that to say
Mhm.
sometimes leaving workaholism isn't as easy as we think it's going to be
Mhm.
because for one it's been embedded in us in so long and for so long and not completely sure like really what's the real livable plan that I'm going to do instead.
Mhm.
You know, if it's not tangible, if it doesn't feel like I knew I wasn't going to be able to be a dog walker. Like not that I couldn't do it, but I knew I would have wanted more than that, you know?
Mhm. Yes.
That still would not have been enough, and I didn't
Mhm.
really have a plan. So, um, I ended up back in my career. I worked in a couple different companies there, nothing that I really enjoyed. And and deep down, I kind of knew that I was searching, but I didn't know how to put it into words.
Mhm.
Um, and it still took me some time after that until I finally for I kinda it upgraded it to saying I was looking for more, and
Mm.
then eventually I realized in hindsight, I was looking for lifestyle freedom the whole time,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that was not something that a lot of jobs, especially not back in 2009, early 2000s, that people were talking about or how to even create that or live that, you know? So
Yes. What is lifestyle freedom? What is that? How do you define it?
I define lifestyle freedom as the ability to choose when you get up and go to bed at night without I have to I hate putting alarms on. I hate waking up to an
Yeah,
alarm. Gosh, it's the worst thing ever. Um,
it's not
it's this
fun.
ability to choose your own this autonomy over your life to say, this is what I want my life to look like, and I get to choose it rather than you defining where I have to be
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
how I have to value you over my own values.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's this
Yeah.
ability to put your own values first.
Yes. Yes, and I think maybe that's what happens in your 20s where there's that tug of war between you and the job. It's like, "I want my summer
Mhm.
break. Should I quit? I want my" this is my experience in my 20s. I need that summer break. Should I quit? Should I keep it? Like, there's that,
Yeah.
like, tug of war between me prioritizing the life I want versus wait, there's that rent thing that's going to happen in the first of
Mhm.
next month. There's
Mhm.
that tug of war, and at some point, you kind of, like, get into that, "Oh, there's the rent, there's the work, there's the rent, there's the work," you get into that. Yeah, I started my career or my working life in New York City, and it was no joke. It was, like, not cheap, and you gotta keep going, and it
Mhm.
was just like, "Oh, this is what I was working all my life so
Mhm.
far for?" It's rough.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
I
Yeah,
also had this
autonomy.
yeah. Yeah, it is everything. I
Yeah.
agree. What she's We Don't Retire, We Ascend, that is a great screen name. Come on.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
autonomy. It's something that you really have to struggle, like, not struggle, but you have to really
Fight for.
not fight for it, yes, but be deliberate about creating
Mhm.
autonomy and attaining it
Yeah.
and maintaining it, because it doesn't necessarily just come to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Intentionality
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Okay, so you work with folks to help people overcome, if they're workaholics.
Mhm.
What do you do? How do you do it?
Yeah. So the first thing that we do is actually going back to, and I take it through this process of, hey, like if work wasn't the most important thing, what would you do? If you weren't doing this, because 9 times out of 10, if they're coming to me, they're probably in something that this job is boring.
Mm,
This way of life is not fulfilling. I want something different, but I'm also not completely sure what I want that to look like. And so the main question that I even had for myself, I got to this point where I was working my corporate job. I had just gone through Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and I had paid off my last debt payment. And I realized I had the freedom to choose. There
mhm,
was really nothing there weren't those extra bills in the back of my mind anymore.
mhm,
And the big question that came to mind was, what would I do if I wasn't doing this? Like, and I didn't really have an answer at that point. So you kind of
mhm,
have to go on this discovery journey to question, maybe it's been the pressure of my parents, or maybe just the pressure of knowing that I am a Black woman and being the manifestation of people before me's dreams. You have all of that underlying pressure, but actually just setting all of that aside and saying, okay, that doesn't have any space right now. What do I want?
mhm,
What do I want? And I
mhm,
wanted to travel. I wanted to spend more time with my family. Like, I wanted to be there for weddings. I wanted to get lost. I wanted to get lost. I wanted
mhm,
to go on an adventure, and
mhm.
that was enough for me. And so the first thing that I do is I ask, like, okay, literally, what would you do? And that can be very scary to admit,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I really don't know what I would do.
yeah,
Like, I wanted for so long, but I really don't know what I would do. And then
yeah,
once we get over that, like, getting into this place where, okay, now that we've admitted that, now we can actually start pulling things out. And so what usually happens is it's easier to say, these are all the things I don't want in my life. We're very good at saying, I know what I don't want.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's
Yeah.
harder to decide what we do want. So we start with
Yeah.
kind of writing a list of what I don't want and then trying to find out what the
Mm.
opposite of that is. And from
Mhm.
that, some of our dreams start to come alive and we start
Yeah.
writing those down, getting those
Yeah.
out of our head because when it's in your head, it's too much going on. Get it out of your head, write it
Mhm.
down, start trying some of those things and getting to know ourselves in a different way where work is not the core, just it's just me as the core. Because now you got to
Mm.
kind of relearn who I
Yeah.
am
Yeah, I
and
think
making that the forefront.
because like what you were saying, if you are working a job, going to school, in high school doing homework and taking college classes, and then looking for a job, finding a job, keeping a job, paying bills, where's the space for dreaming? Where's the space for imagination?
Mhm,
Where's the space for what if? There's no
mhm,
space. If you are in that moment, how do you get this? How do you even find a little space for that?
mhm. Yeah, and a huge thing for me was first getting rid of the debt, and I do help my
Mm,
clients go through that as well, and
mhm,
but I also believe that you don't have to get to that point to be able to do that. Sometimes you just need someone to invite you into that space and say,
mhm,
"Hey, you have permission to be irresponsible right now."
mhm,
If you just were like, you didn't have to worry about the bills, you didn't have to worry about all of that stuff, what would you do? What does that adventure look like for you? And I think
mhm,
that's the biggest part because then from that,
mhm,
then our identity gets to emerge some more. And then you start thinking about, well, how do I want to show up? Like i- in my job, I had to be detail oriented. I had to be extroverted. I had to be all of these different things. But at the core of me, I'm an introvert who loves to think deeply, who loves to draw things out, who is who wants to feel more, but I've been taught so much to think that I have not made a lot of space for that. Those were the things
mhm,
that I was developed into being. And it's
mhm,
funny, I took the Myers-Briggs test, which is a personality test. When I took
mhm.
it, when I like first quit my job, I got one score. But then when I came
Interesting.
back and I did it 6 months later and I had
Mhm.
let all of those things go, I got a
Yeah,
different one. And I realized this was actually me. The
that's
new one that I
you.
got after walking away was me. And I
What
was
is it?
like,
What is it?
I
What is
need
it?
to do that. Right. So my first one
Wait,
I
tell me
got
your
an I
okay, good.
yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
the first time I got ISTJ, which
Oh, wow.
is introverted, um, intuition, thinker, and judgment. Which the way
Mhm,
that I would say the biggest that was the very detail oriented in the weeds person that was very good at getting things done, which a lot of us as Black women are. We are known to be that. We're
mhm.
always
Solving the problems.
reliable, reliable. Yeah, we're always
Mhm,
keeping everything afloat, right?
mhm,
But then when I stepped away and that 9 months later, taking that test again, I got INTJ, which is just the one letter difference, the S
mhm,
versus the N. But that
mhm.
was the detail-oriented person versus the dreamer versus the
Yeah,
one who saw the potential in the world versus the one who opened their mind to let everything be and explore
mhm.
it. And that was
Yes,
huge for me. You know,
yes,
it was a shift. It was a big shift.
yes. I actually have seen that in my life too, where I have like a dueling personality where because I actually have a master's in creative writing and a master's in
Mhm.
journalism, and I'm like
Oh.
the dreamy, this making stuff up, and then like these are facts, and this is what you need to know, and and
Yeah,
it's kind of like this. Which one am I? Am I both? Which one goes
yeah,
first? Yeah,
yeah,
that's so
yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I agree with that. I think too, there is space to be both, but it's
Mhm.
also better when you get to choose
Yeah,
and when you get to use what naturally comes to you first and foremost
mhm.
versus who you have to be to
Yeah,
survive, you know?
yeah. So when people are thinking, okay, I need to not have this job or this work as the center of my life, I know people think, okay, but how am I going to survive if
Mhm.
I have bills to pay, I have, whatever, mortgage, life, children, whatever. How do we get comfortable with uh, being ourselves
Mhm.
in a world that demands certain things of us?
Mhm. I think, well, I found the first step in that is first reassessing what we think we want from life. Because if you feel like you want your next thing you want is a bigger house, a bigger car, um, all of these things that are going to cost you money, you're going to keep challenging yourself to go to work because you know that you need money.
Yeah.
But if you actually take a step back and look at, at the end of the day, if I could go live in a cute little shack in Trinidad so that I could be by the beach, um, then maybe if I just paid off all of this debt, I would have the money that I needed to actually go and do that. So it's this shift in our priorities first and foremost, and then allowing our actions to follow that. Um,
Mhm.
and that starts with, again, creating that new vision of what we want our life to be. And then again, if you have debt, and none of that's going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I do is once you've decided this is what I want my life to look like now, I help you create the life systems, the business systems, the business meaning whatever it is for your career or whether you're an entrepreneur. But
Mhm.
what are these routines and habits that I can do to start shifting how I live my life now so that when I get there, my mindset's ready, my money is ready, the way I govern my work-life balance is all of those ready. And how all I have to do is step into it and receive it. And so I'm
Mm.
helping people through that transition to be able to
Mhm.
receive it, which is I love it because I have tangibly in my own experience, but also I've seen it in my clients. They come back, they're glowing more, they're happier. They're like, I actually spent an extra hour on myself, even with my child, and I didn't feel guilty for not doing more of XYZ. Like,
Mhm.
there's this part where you get to sit taller, feel lighter, and really be like, there I could do this way before I thought I could, that I get to
Mm.
enjoy seeing people experience.
Right. So you're feeling the feeling that you want before you get to that destination. So it's not a grind on the way to your goal. It's sort of you're already enjoying yourself, your life
Mhm,
as you're going towards that, which
mhm,
I think is yeah, that feels good. That feels
mhm.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about using work as a tool as opposed to a goal. Do you want to
Mhm.
maybe expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I still work now.
Mhm.
Work pay work is with how I make money to pay my bills. But
Mhm.
before, the difference in the mindset and the lifestyle and how I operated was that if someone would say, "Hey, I want to go to XYZ. I want to go to Aruba for a vacation. Do you want to come?" My thought process will be, "Well, am I going to have enough vacation time for that? Can I sacrifice that?" It's all of these other things. Well, if I leave work, who's going to take care of it? There's going to be so much work when I come back. There's all of those conversations that we have with ourselves that
Mhm.
convince us out of taking advantage of the opportunity. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. Let me
Mhm.
see. It was 2 years ago now. I went to go visit some friends in Costa Rica. I went for 2 weeks. And halfway through the trip, they said, "You know what? You should just stay." And I said, "You know what? I can't stay, but I'll come back in 3 weeks." And I did. I
Nice.
left ever put some stuff in I put my stuff in storage. I moved back to Costa Rica for a year. That's not the mindset I would have had before,
Yeah. Yes.
you know?
I know. I mean, yes, we have to put some things off. We have to make some plans. We have to put things in place, but to always, kick the can down the road and so it never happens, or thinking that, it'll happen when I retire or it'll happen
Mhm.
someday. Yeah, it's very or also one thing that is kind of a pet peeve of mine is people not using their vacation days. Oh, that
Mhm.
hurts me so much.
Yes.
That
Yes.
hurts me so much. Yeah, but
Mhm.
also people who have vacation days that I think Stephanie talks about a lot. Like she had vacation days, but she had to like negotiate with her coworkers. Can you take this day, that day? And it was never
Mhm.
consecutive like that. It's a mess. It's a
Yeah.
mess. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think
Mm.
us learning to take that power back and say, yes, your business needs to run, but not that at the
Mhm.
expense of me.
Right, and you don't wanna be a bad boss to yourself, like, that's the worst.
Right.
You wanna be a
Yeah.
good boss to yourself, like, give
Yeah.
your employee some time off. We all
Yes.
need it, right?
Yeah.
Kathy is saying
Yes.
going on vacation was a strange concept for her for a long time. I know that some Black families don't take vacation. Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I think for me growing up, what did we do? I think we went on, like, road trips to, like, see our family in New York or Pennsylvania
Mhm.
or Kansas or but, yeah, I don't remember, like, long vacations that we would take when I was little.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so
Yeah.
much.
I got really lucky. My mom, I will say my mom was a person who prioritized work, but for whatever reason, she also very much enjoyed travel, and that stuck with me. I remember I was 9 years old. My sister was in the service, um, and she was stationed in Misawa, Tokyo, Misawa, Japan. And my
Mhm.
mom took me and my grandmother to Japan for 3 weeks, and we
Mhm.
spent the first week in Disney World, and then the second 2 weeks in Misawa. I mean, I've been, like I said, I've lived in 15 different cities, but I've also visited over 30 different countries in the midst of all of that. Like I've
Mhm.
been really blessed in that.
Yeah,
So
so
I
but
was
that is
very lucky
so
that,
sweet, that trip, that 3-week trip with your mom, your grandmother, and your sister,
yeah,
that's epic, that's beautiful. That is
yeah.
beautiful. I'm so happy that you did that.
Yeah, yeah, and you contrast that with, like I
Yeah.
said, also learning how to be a workaholic at 12.
Mhm.
And so thankfully I had that to pull me back.
Mhm.
And that's the other reason why I think I'm so passionate about, yes, come back, explore the world.
Mhm.
Explore the world. Like it's here
Yeah.
for us, and it will help you shift your priorities when you see how other people, not even so much how other people live, that there's just so much more
Mm.
than what we're already doing, you know?
Yes. So you mentioned that you had a job in Rome. You kind of flew past that. I wanna hear about your time
Mhm.
in Rome. Tell me.
Yeah, so that was actually in college. College, I
Uh-huh.
studied abroad in Rome, which
Mhm.
was really amazing. My college had a connection. She passed away. Her name was Nora. So we studied abroad there, and she had connections so that we could go to Fendi and to Valentino and like actually tour these fashion houses. Amazing experiences that I would love to say I planned, but it's Jesus. But being
Mm.
open to receive from Jesus is where, again, a big thing of what I love to see my clients do. But
Mhm.
yeah, we got to, I mean, throw quarters in the Fountain de Trevi and
Mhm.
go to the Colosseum and oh, my favorite place in Italy is Capri. It's this cute little island
Mm.
where the streets, I swear, are no bigger than a golf cart. And
Mm.
it's beautiful. The food is amazing. That's the first time I ever had a prawn with a head on it. And the eyes were looking back at me, and I'm like, "You want me to eat that? I think I'll just pull the rest of the body off."
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so
Capri.
I studied fashion while I was there. It was amazing.
You've had some wonderful experiences.
I have,
Yeah.
I have.
Oh, okay, Capri.
Mhm.
I'm feeling
Yes.
it. I'm feeling it.
Fun house it there, and yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, good. This is good. So you work right now you're sort of you call yourself a life coach or a dream strategist, and
Mhm.
do you travel now? Are you mostly
Yes.
like settled or you bop around or what do you do?
So I do some bopping around. Lately, I've gotten to this place. So I left my job back in 2016. I traveled consistently for 3 years, from 2016 to 2019. I went to Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand. Cambodia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Zambia, Lord,
Mm.
Spain, Albania. Listen, there's a lot of places, okay? And
Yeah.
I got to this point where every time I came home, my belongings were in different states. I
Mm.
was like spread out all over the place. And
Mhm.
I decided I want to keep traveling, but I needed a home base and I didn't
Mhm.
really know where I wanted that to be. So I'm also a tiny house enthusiast. And so I've been working on where do I want to park my tiny house? Where do I want my
Mm.
home base to be? Why do I choose those places? Because again, I want to be intentional about
Mhm.
why I choose things, not just letting life give me whatever it wants. I
Mm.
wanted to choose it for myself. So it actually took me a couple years to decide that I wanted Charlotte to be my home base. And I decided that because it's a nice happy medium. I could get to my family in Pittsburgh, but it's too cold to live in Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
But it's also close to some of my other really close family in Atlanta. So Charlotte is my happy medium. And my best friend has a 12-acre property that I'll be putting my tiny house on. So, and then I'll be close to my goddaughters. It really is, yeah, like again, when you get to choose what's most important to you, it's a lot easier to find how those all connect. But it
Yeah.
starts with getting it out of your mind, down on the paper. What do I want? And then
Mhm.
from there, letting it evolve, you know?
Yes, and also the fact that you're gonna be on your friend's property is also being, you know, in community, also have your own space, but also be with people. That's great. That
Yeah.
seems like a perfect balance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I mean, I've lived in a lot of communal spaces, which is
Mhm.
beautiful. I live in a communal situation right now, and I love
Mhm.
to as the thing with bopping around, it can be lonely, you know,
Mhm.
but you love it because you're also doing all of these new and amazing things, but I
Yeah.
also really want a community as well. So,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to my tiny house where I get to choose how high the air conditioning is or not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Things like
Oh,
that.
no, that's great. That's interesting because, yeah, as I'm traveling around Mexico, I'm sort of at the end of my towards the end of my 2 month in Mexico, and I am starting to think, okay, yeah, I would love to be traveling a little bit with other people at some point. And just to mention that Kathy Hampton and I are organizing a retreat in Mexico City in April for folks who are interested in coming to Mexico City but do not necessarily want to travel here alone. We'll be
Mhm.
staying here for a week in a beautiful house. And yeah, registration is open now. So if you are a Black woman who is interested in coming to Mexico City, please check the link in the description below. And yeah, we'd love to have you. And yeah, there's so many places in the world to explore. What was one of your favorites, Rashidat, that you've been to?
I will say Aruba is by far my favorite.
Mm,
I love Aruba. 90 degrees and a breeze. A relatively small island, but you can get around the whole thing pretty easily. The coves, the water is warm, the sand is beautiful. Yeah, I Aruba.
that sounds like my speed too. I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
Capri and Aruba. Those are
Mhm.
those are going in here. Yeah, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if people want to work with you, you are your dream strategist. I have links to your website and to your YouTube channel and your IG in the description, just so folks know if they
Lovely.
wanted to work with you. Um,
Mhm.
so I wanted to maybe think about how can people start imagining, like they hear you talking about traveling and having your own business and sort of putting like work in the margins as opposed to in the center. Like, how can people start dreaming even if they're in the sort of life that you had before where you were piling, work and school and, all of these things?
Mhm.
How can we create space for ourselves?
Yeah. I think for one, you really hit the nail on the head saying intentionality.
Mhm.
Um, and I would say the way to level that up, get a comfy chair. You don't have to go out of your city. Google photographic spots in whatever city you live in, okay?
Mhm.
Then get a really good drink. take your journal, put a timer on. Now, here's the thing. You probably want to put a timer on for like an hour. Don't do
Mm,
that. That's
mm,
too much. Just do yourself a dose of 15 minutes. Just put the timer on for 15 minutes
mm,
and write some stuff out. Just allow yourself to daydream for a second, write it down. Daydream, write it down. If you don't
mm,
want to use a tablet and that feels too much because it's too much open space, a lot of times when we have that much open space, we feel like we have to fill it. So,
mhm.
actually, I'm gonna tell you, don't even take a journal. Just take a pad of Post-its, okay? Write
Yeah.
something on the Post-it, put that Post-it to the side.
Mhm.
Write something else on a Post-it, put that Post-it on the side. Do
I
that
like
for
it.
15 minutes,
Just
okay?
brainstorming,
And then
brainstorming.
yeah,
Mhm.
just let it go. Let the I like to call
Love
it
it.
the dream juices, like, let them get massaged and moving, okay?
Mhm,
Like you do an orange or a lemon to get the juices flowing. And
mhm,
then once you get all of those Post-its, put them out in front of you and be generous with yourself with the time. Allow yourself to sit, just really sit. But then once you're done with that, put all of those Post-its on a wall. Take a step back and look and say, what's the main theme of what I want to see in my life? Like
mm,
mine was that lifestyle freedom. Some people are going to say travel. Some people might say family. Some other people might say relationships, or there's so many different things that you can say. So don't think you have to say anything specific. That's why I want you to put the dreams out first and then let the dreams tell you what theme that's coming up for you. And allow, when you see that theme, that's what every day you want to start making sure you're doing something in that theme.
mm, mhm. I love it. I love it. So I know that Kathy there are a lot of folks who do journaling. I know Kathy Hampton does journaling on her YouTube
Mm,
channel. A lot of times you can't necessarily think your way out of something, but maybe writing your way out of a situation could
mhm.
be a way of doing it. Journaling. I love the brainstorming with the Post-it notes. I actually used to do that at work a lot. So maybe just take that back from
Yeah,
work and make that into my playtime where I'm like
exactly.
dreaming and brainstorming and just putting
Yeah.
ideas and seeing how it all looks in a outside of my head. I love that idea.
Mhm.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Mm,
Taking it out of work and making it play again. Come on, that's the best part,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, yay,
Yeah.
live in Charlotte. That's amazing. I
Mm.
am
Jewel
familiar with Jewel. I've been down to her, tiny house. It's lovely.
Oh, nice. Yes, good. Yeah, she's building a community or she's, like, trying to, build a tiny house community in that area. That's fantastic. Yes. Yay. All right. Is there anything if we have any questions, throw them in the chat if you all have questions, comments, anything. And if you wanted to if you have any events coming up, do you have any events coming up or anything, that you wanted to tell us about?
Yeah, so my main event that I do every single week is my Freedom Fridays live on YouTube. So just about 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago, we went live on my YouTube channel, and it's all about uh, creating work-life balance very tangibly
Mm,
today. So we get on the session. It's kind of a work co-working session. We celebrate our wins together. What are the wins from the week? Because I think it's also very easy to feel monotony when we
mm,
don't stop and do that, to recognize we
mhm,
are making progress towards our dreams. Yes, there's still big dreams, but yes, you're also making progress. Both things are happening. So we start that way, and then we work on setting up our schedule for next week. And it's very intentional about making sure you schedule rest and fun right now. We don't
yes.
have to wait until we're completely out of it. Schedule it now. It's a huge, huge thing. So we do
Yes.
that when we set up our schedule. And then the last part of it is winding down for the weekend. So what
Mm.
windows are you going to close on your computer? We don't realize sometimes we got 20 million windows open. That's how our
Oh, I
brain
do
is,
it.
okay?
Oh, yes. Oh, I recognize that. Yeah, definitely.
you know?
Yeah.
So closing down our windows, then deciding I try to do every week Friday. And so I have my own regular routines of fun and rest. But on
Mm,
Friday, I kind of try to just do something a little different. What am I going to eat differently on a Friday? What am I going to
mm,
do differently? So, like today, I'm going to a Christian McBride concert tonight. Um, Yeah, and I just try to do at least once a week. That's progress. That's progress. I think another thing too, in conversations like this, we feel like we have to go from 0 to 100 now.
Mm,
Like we have to
mm,
do it all right now. But it's that evolution. I gave the illustration. If you think of a mountain, we don't just go straight up a mountain up the side. That's too steep. We want to go that fast, but the reality is we're never going to go from the bottom to the top that quick. Instead, it's more of this cylindrical around, and every time we get closer to the top, and
mm,
so we're passing some of our same mistakes on the process, but we're actually still getting so much closer to that climax. Being okay with
mm.
that journey is
Yes.
where, because that changes our life. It's instead of it being an event, it becomes a life change. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. I think, here's a comment. I think a lot of us could use more fun. I definitely know I can. I'm gonna take your suggestion to schedule fun in, and, I'm gonna do some brainstorming around what is fun to me, what looks like fun, what is
Mhm.
fun, and then, like, start, like, pulling them off and doing them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know for me, if I didn't take time to intentionally write down some things that I enjoy for fun, when it gets time to rest, even if I scheduled it, I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with myself.
Mhm. Yes.
I get to rest and I end up watching TV or I
Yeah.
end up working just because I didn't
Mhm.
know what I was gonna do. So I
Mhm.
have a list of things that I like to do for fun when I schedule myself to do it, or else I won't do
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for this conversation, and thank you everyone for watching. I have some ideas, some new places I might wanna go, and some new practices, that I'm going to put into place. Um, Rashidat, Fridays at what time? Tell us when we can do your Friday live sessions.
Yeah, noon every Friday Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so we have a date for Friday
Mhm.
at noon Eastern time. And if you want to find Rashidat, you can find her socials and her website in the description. Also, if you're interested in the rest, what is it? Rest, Explore, Connect retreat in Mexico City in April. You'll find a link in the description. And yeah, thank you for joining, and thank you for being here. And we'll see you on the internet. Bye.
Bye.